Yo, what is up guys? It's the Goblin and welcome back to another Call of Duty Black Ops 4 video. In tonight's video, I'm going to be showing you guys some of the best class setups in Call of Duty Black Ops 4 after patch notes 1.13. Last night I uploaded a video which was the top 5 weapons in my opinion, and today we're going to be breaking it down into the class setups for the top 5 weapons, as well as a few extras. I think in total it'll be like 7 or 8 class setups. So hopefully you guys will enjoy this video. If you guys can drop a like on this thing, I'd very much appreciate that. Let's go for 1,500 likes. Smack that like button. Subscribe to the channel if you guys are new and not already subscribed, and let's get right into it. Now, these class setups are built off a variety of stuff. I have a lot of class setups. A lot of people always ask me, why don't I run Scavenger as much? And the answer is because I run the Crash Specialist, which drops me ammo packs, right? Other people sort of ask, why do I like the ComSec device as my gear? Because I like to stack streaks with it, and that's the way that I like to play. I know other people might like to put a acoustic sensor or a stim shot or whatever in that slot, so that's what I've taken that all into consideration and made a variety of really good class setups where if you pick basically any of these setups, you'll do well if you're able to play the playstyle. Let's break it down. Let's go right into it. First one here obviously is the Vapor XKG, and what was so cool about the Vapor is that it was basically buffed its damage at range. So usually I would rock it like this with a long barrel fast mags in stock. Now after the patch, you can take off this long barrel. Sure, it still helps out, you could still have it on, but I prefer instead of that going with either stock 2 and doubling down on that, or going with the rapid fire, just depending on if my gunfights are going to be more up close, and I think I'm going to be running on a map where a lot of people are using SMGs or fast time to kill weapons. Probably want the rapid fire to keep up on this weapon, but if not, if I'm on a more medium open map, maybe we're playing on militia or something like that, either way this setup can go very, very well with the Vapor. Elo sight I like to run on this one. This is a weapon where I think you really do need to sight on it. Of course I have this Vampire Hunter whatever variant, so that one doesn't need as much. ComSec device, Flak Jacket, Gung Ho, and Dead Silence. Perks haven't really been messed with too much, but Flak Jacket and Tac Mask have some changes basically to which protects you from each, and they both sort of got inadvertently a little bit of a buff, I guess you could say. For Tac Mask it wasn't as big, but Flak Jacket definitely, they took a lot of the stuff that Tac Mask defended you as and put it on Flak Jacket, so you take less damage from enemy explosives, fire, and radiation, and you can recover more quickly when wounded. I think it's pretty dope. Gung Ho and Dead Silence pretty much standard. You'll see it with my perks. I don't mix it up too much. With the attachments is where it really comes down to it. Next, second class setup. Now, the SOG 9mm. I talked about this in my video, how this weapon received a bunch of nerfs, and the majority of the nerfs were bringing this weapon back down to a point where it's statistically more around the other weapons in the SMG category. However, just because of the fire rate and accuracy of this thing, it's awesome still. And they did hit the stock and the stock 2 with the nerf, so if you don't want to go all in with stock 1 and stock 2, which you probably would before the update, you can mix it up and run quick draw, which, because they did nerf the grip, but you can run quick draw, which still works extremely well on this setup with fast mags and then a stock 1, and you run into a very, very nice setup. Now this is one where you could run it with Tac Mask if you're going to be rushing a bit more, Tac Mask, Gung Ho, Dead Silence, stim shot as well. But this is where it's a little bit of a dilemma with this setup, and a lot of people always ask, like, why are that you see me running Elo sight on a lot of weapons where that you might not need Elo sight, and it's because I get into a situation like this where I design a really nice class setup, but I have 9 points out of 10, as you can see in the top right. So my options here are either slap an Elo on here, or don't slap an Elo on here and slap on like a pistol secondary, which either way it's not really helping you that much because you have fast mags and you already have a weapon with 36 that reloads pretty quickly. But I think those are your two options there. You really can't do much else unless you want to put a special issue on, which I don't recommend because it sort of takes away from your specialist, depending on what you're rocking with. But yeah, that's what I would say for this. Probably slap on a secondary or a Elo sight depending on what you want. A really good class up for the SOG 9mm. This weapon, it still is super duper powerful. You will notice some of the changes when using it, but you could still honestly just go with the same class setup as well. But I think quick draw is really nice to have now, because they brought back the stock 1 and stock 2 a little bit. Next, my third class setup, and this is where we're going with a little bit more unique stuff. This is the Auger Dmr, which I think is a top 5 weapon in this game right now, if you can use it right. And this setup is all over the place, a really unique one, but I think it's pretty strong. Now let's break it down. First of all, the Auger Dmr received 3 really, really awesome buffs. The ADS move speed, which is your side to side and move speed when you're aimed down sight. update, which is huge because of the fact that this weapon does not have stock available. So that's something that's really, really important, especially with the type of weapon that this is, sort of like a tactical rifle, marksman rifle, a long distance assault rifle, whatever you want to call it. That works really well. The next buff was the time in between shots. You can now shoot faster, and then same with the double tap. They made this a little bit more efficient, which this whole setup is designed around. And the Auger is a weapon that it can either be the best weapon or the worst. You do not want to use this thing up close. It's garbage up close. You run the double tap, which converts it to a 2-round burst, and then you run high caliber 1, increased damage to headshots, high caliber 2, increased damage to the upper chest, and you can get 1 burst kills, which are basically 2 tap kills, by hitting the enemies with that. This weapon, if you're deadly, if you are able to aim, and of course you have to use this weapon, much like the Rampart, which we'll talk about a little bit later in this video, through a class step up for the Rampart as well. But yeah, high caliber 1, high caliber 2 are very, very important. Now, I realized when I was using this class setup, I was destroying at medium to long range, but at close range, the hip fire was kind of trash on this weapon, or really is trash. Without stock, I can't really strafe on people. I tried to shoot them and punch them, but that's just so inconsistent. So what I decided is you can run something like an RK7 secondary, or maybe even a shotgun if you want here. I think the RK7 could be good though, because it just sort of gives you that close, much like the an M8 or a different class up from Black Ops 3. You'd still want that secondary to be able to do well with. Comsec device, of course, for this one, because your goal is to stay alive and stack streaks. And then as far as the perks, the way the perks work in this game is, sure, you'd like to have Dead Silence, and you'd like to have Scavenger, Attack Mask, or you know, even Engineer could be good, or Flak Jacket as well. Perk 1 is probably the best perk slot. But what I could do here with this setup is run Crash, so I'm not going to run out of ammo. I'm dropping that down, I'm getting the heals. And then I'm running pretty much the one perk that Gung Ho is the best perk in this game. It's so damn strong that they actually nerfed it, or not really nerfed it, but deleted it from competitive, banned it, restricted it, so people can't use that. So you'll see a lot of the competitive players rocking with dexterity and stuff like that, because of the fact that they can't use Gung Ho. But if you could only have one perk on each class setup, I think it's pretty self-explanatory and obvious that I would go with Gung Ho, and that's sort of how I designed this Auger class setup. Next, coming into number 4, what we have here is the Maddox, and the Maddox, of course, was nerfed decently, but I would still use the exact same setup with it. Here you can run Scavenger, or you can run Tac Mask, whatever. I'd probably run Tac Mask and do it with Crash. If you want to run any other specialist, I'd recommend running Scavenger with it. But with this Maddox, they did hit the way certain attachments work with this thing. However, I think that you pretty much don't really have too much of a choice. Like, they hit the Quick Draw. You could run Quick Draw 1, Quick Draw 2, and Stock, but I think the way to go with it is just the same setup I was using before: Stock, Quick Draw, and Fast Mags. And with this weapon, the more noticeable stuff on the changes is the fact that the second and third shot, because they nerfed this weapon a lot, and then they buffed it again to bring it back to a more respectable place where it's still a top tier weapon in this game, but that second and third shot, the recoil can be a bit tough. But I think this is still the setup I would go with as far as the Maddox. However, if you want to rock with the Echo Fire, which I think is extremely underrated, running something like this where you could go in with the Echo Fire could be really nice as well. Fast Mag, Stock, and then the Echo Fire, which of course is changes it to be the firing blowback system, shoots each other bullet at an increased fire rate. It kind of makes it feel like a burst weapon, but those are two ways you can do still very well with the Maddox. And of course, first perk, whatever you want to run, second perk, Gung Ho. Fifth slot here is going to be the KN57, and this one is pretty self-explanatory. The KN57 is so damn good because of its ability to kill people in one less bullet than something like the Maddox can kill people up close, and that's only for a certain short range. But when you actually slap on at default the KN versus the Maddox up close, Maddox still has a faster time to kill. But when you slap on the rapid fire, which is one of the amazing things about the KN, is the fact that this weapon has hybrid mags, stock, which stock isn't that easy to come by as far as on an assault rifle in Black Ops 4 in 2019 nowadays, and then the rapid fire, which with the rapid fire you get that little juice as far as your rounds per minute, your fire rate, which then when you do the math with the damage, makes the time to kill of this even quicker than the Maddox up close. And that's why with this weapon you could honestly slap on something like an acoustic sensor here if you want to play this, because it can be like a Russian assault rifle class setup. I think this was honestly one of my favorite setups before the update, and after the update it's just even better because the KN got kind of a tiny buff, but more significantly other weapons got nerfed down. A lot of the SMGs, the Maddox, stuff like that, and I think the KN is at a very, very, very strong point in this game, and this is an awesome setup I like to run with it. Once again, you can customize your perks if you would like to run Scavenger or whatever. And next here is the Rampart setup, and I know a lot of people have been talking about the Rampart. I put the Rampart as an honorable mention because this gun is amazing, and much like the Auger, it's one where it's amazing amazing. Certain people are going to love it, certain people are going to hate it. And the way you have to play the Rampart basically is with the high caliber 1 and high caliber 2. If you want to be effective, you slap these two on and you aim for the upper body or headshots, and you get so much damage done. As far as this third one, I know people would probably say this third attachment you could run a grip here. However, I find whenever I run grip with it, it makes it much more controllable and it's nice, but 30 rounds, just the reload time isn't too quick on this, and I kind of get stuck there, especially without a secondary. So that's why I prefer to run fast mags right there. Honestly, you could take off, let's say you take off this, and you could go with the 4 attachment setup, or you could go with like I had it before, where I basically made this the anti-BS setup, where tac mask and flak jacket and then gung ho, where these two will counter a lot of the BS in this game. Of course, it would be nice to have dead silence to counter people's sound whoring and acoustic sensors, but of course you can't get everything on one class setup. But that's what I would say as far as a Rampart setup. Very, very cool way to use the Rampart. Next is with the Spitfire. The Spitfire is still an effective SMG in this game, but I know a lot of people are not, you know, liking the ADS move speed, or basically if you wanted a different way to play with the Spitfire after patch, because what the patch notes, a way to play and sort of have it be effective where the patch notes didn't really hit it, is if you want to go, and this is a unique Spitfire class that's been around, but not as many people use it. Of course, Fast Mags was hit, but if you rock Laser Sight 1 and Laser Sight 2, where you improve the hipfire accuracy, you maximize the hipfire accuracy, and you get no hipfire penalty while moving, and then you slap on Stim Shots, you can basically spray while healing while using that Stim Shot. And then what you can also do is with Gung Ho, combine that with dexterity, and then of course you're able to jump, mantle, swap weapons faster, mantle, climb, and slide, and just basically have a more efficient, fast weapon. And this is sort of a spray and pray setup that you could go with on something like the Spitfire. And even once you do this, you would still have room to deck yourself out with whatever you wanted here. Probably I would go with a perk 1, which you probably want something like Tac Mask. So this can be a very, very effective class setup for spraying and praying with Laser Sight 1 and 2. And another weapon that's super deadly after this update, and was pretty much always deadly, the Swordfish. And I'm still telling you guys, when you're using the Swordfish, you want to create the most 1 burst potential that you can have, right? And by doing that, you need high caliber for the 1 burst potential to the headshots, and then you also need pentaburst for the 1 burst potential for the body shots, right? And with this, I would probably go with something like this, where I would be more chilling, setting up. But with a Swordfish, I would go with a setup where it would be more like this. Hybrid mags, because you guys know my thoughts on hybrid mags. A little bit of fast mags and a little bit of extended mags. I'm going to take that all the time when it's available, pretty much all the time. And even though quick draw, you know, can be really nice on this weapon and is very strong now after the update, I still think you don't really need it, because your playstyle with this weapon, you're not trying to get up in their face. High caliber and the pentaburst creating the 1-shot potential, hybrid mags for a bit of utility, and then just enjoy. Hopefully you guys did enjoy these 8 class setups. Hopefully these will help you guys out a little bit. And I think these are some of the best class setups to sort of you know, deal with the buffs and nerfs from the update. Of course, there's way more stuff to talk about, and this update was so significant that I could go on forever. Hopefully this video would help you guys out with these with the patch note and with finding some class setups. If you run with any of these setups, as long as, like I said, if you're running ComSec device, you have to be going for the goal of getting streaks. Even if you run, like, let's say you want to use Maddox class setup, and you wanted to use, or let's say the KN, but you just want to sort of go for gun kills, probably go with a Stim Shot. If you want to go on a big streak with your gun, probably acoustic. If you want to go for kill streaks, get the most kills, get, you know, whatever you want, ComSec device. If you're just trying to make it even, get a 1 KD body armor. And if you're trying to equipment charge, you probably wouldn't want to use that too often unless you're trying to do some challenge or something in like a public match setting. Hopefully you guys did enjoy. Drop a like on this video, subscribe. I'll see you guys all in the next one, and hopefully this video did help you guys guys and girls watching out a little bit. That's about it. I'll see you all in the next one, and I'm out. Peace.